In March, you're still not clocking half the hidden work your gut pulls. Jobs no one knows about while you eat. The roster stays invisible, but it's not a sponge. It's a bouncer, recycler, and hormone traffic jam in one tube. And here are 8 weird side jobs your intestines run besides soaking up nutrients. Number 1. Mucosal Gatekeeping. Picture a single layer of columnar cells zipped together with tight junctions like tiles with adjustable seals. Goblet cells drizzle mucus on top. Paneth cells and neighbors toss antimicrobial chemistry into the mix. Secretory IgA paints threats in the lumen so they are harder to adhere. And that folded surface, villi and microvilli, blows up how much real estate you have for both uptake and defense. Still, the tennis court metaphor for gut surface area is more poetry than a single ruler line for every body. The point is selective passage. Nutrients can cross by design. Microbes and toxins mostly bounce. The barrier breathes. Tight junctions can loosen under inflammatory signals and tighten again. Small intestine and colon do not even run identical mucus strategies. The colon often stacks a 2-layer mucus plan when mucosa is healthy. When people sell universal leaky gut as the root of everything, medicine pushes back. But real barrier compromise shows up in inflammatory bowel disease, celiac disease, and C. diff class infections. Same tube, different job title. Nightclub security, not just a hole with a welcome mat. Number 2. Immune sampling. But here's the thing, your gut runs a TSA line for everything you swallow and organized lymphoid tissue sits under the lining. Microfold M cells act like discrete trapdoors, ferrying samples from the lumen to dendritic cells and lymphocytes waiting below. Peyers patches, big players in the ileum, are part of that surveillance network. The workflow is classic immune homework. Sample, present, train responses, then ship secretory IgA back into the lumen like immune paint on bacteria. Evolution had to solve a ridiculous antigen load at a paper-thin border so the system learns tolerance to food while still prepping for pathogens. Fair trade, salmonella-class pathogens exploit M cells as their favorite side entrance. Oral vaccines lean on mucosal roots for a reason. You will not feel this job on a Tuesday. It is histology and specialist territory, not a vibe check. Number 3. Hormone signaling. Scattered enteroendocrine cells. Only about 1% of the epithelial crowd in textbook summaries are chemosensors wired to meals. They release peptides basolaterally. Signals ride blood and the vagus to the brain and pancreas. Eat something and the dominoes fall. GLP-1 and GIP juice the incretin effect and help insulin show up with manners. PYY and cholecystokinin lean on satiety. Secretin and CCK coordinate pancreatic and biliary traffic. Your intestines text your brain after every meal chemically. They are not just processing food, they are lobbying your appetite. The GLP-1 drugs in the news hijack pathways cousins to this biology. Same family reunion, prescription gatekeeping included. Number 4. Gut serotonin, but here's the catch. Everyone quotes brain serotonin for mood. Your gut runs a serious serotonin operation too. Enterochromaffin cells release 5-hydroxytryptamine when stretch and chemistry prod them, and that signal talks to local neurons and smooth muscle, steering motility and secretion. Reviews often summarize that most serotonin by mass in the body sits in the gut. Popular numbers cluster high, but the brain's pool is behind a blood-brain fence doing different work. Same molecule, different resume. This is not a license to equate gut serotonin with happiness like a single mood dial and those anti-nausea tricks targeting 5-HT3 receptors, same molecular family, different department. Worth remembering before you flatten the story into a meme. If you're finding this interesting, consider subscribing because I drop videos like this regularly. Anyway, we're back to it. Number 5. Lining renewal. Your intestinal lining is less permanent wallpaper and more daily renovation. Stem cells camp in the crypts, daughters amplify, then march up the villus or colonic surface. They differentiate into enterocytes, goblets, enteroendocrine cells, paneth players in the small bowel, and more. Old cells shed into the lumen on a timeline often quoted in the ballpark of a few days for villus enterocytes. Exact stopwatch depends on method and segment, but the headline is speed. That turnover is why the barrier can heal after a nasty bug. Chemotherapy hunts fast dividers and can shred the gut lining as collateral. Mucositis is biology meeting drugs, not a moral failing. Organoids grown from intestinal stem cells are a lab workhorse now, and no juice cleanse invented that schedule. Number 6. Second brain wiring. Here's where it gets electric. The enteric nervous system is a dense mesh in the wall. Enteric and submucosal plexuses. Sensor neurons, interneurons, motor neurons talking to muscle and secretory machinery. Classic teaching, it can run local reflexes even when cut off from the central nervous system. Those demonstrations made physiology professors cheer. Popular science loves about 100 million neurons, but real estimates wobble, so think enormous local network, not a precise head count for trivia night. Your brain still modulates stress, mood, and motility through top-down lines. When ganglion cells fail to show up, as in Hirschsprung disease, you learn fast how non-optional this wiring is. It is not a second consciousness ghostwriting your personality. It is a control room for squeeze, mix, and squirt. Quick reminder, if you're enjoying this, subscribing helps a ton. Now, where were we? Number 7. Housekeeping waves. When you are not eating, the migrating motor complex stages phase contractions that march down the pipe, clearing leftover fluid and debris, the street sweeper shift. Teaching texts often sketch cycles on the order of 90 to 120 minutes with real humans varying. Eating flips you to the fed pattern and interrupts the interdigestive rhythm. That rumble between meals might be housekeeping punching the clock, though borborygmi are not a home diagnosis for anything. Clinicians care about this when clearance fails and bacterial overgrowth becomes a concern. Another reason not to play doctor with your belly soundtrack. Opioids and disease states can muddle the pattern. Your gut's janitorial editorial union has opinions. Number 8, bile recycling. Bile acids leave the liver, enter the duodenum, emulsify fat like detergent, then plot twist. Most get reclaimed in the terminal ileum through active transport. They ride portal blood back to the liver and the loop repeats. Teaching summaries often say the vast majority of bile acids recycle daily, with only a small fraction lost in stool under normal conditions. Crohn's disease hitting the ileum can scramble that reclaim line. Bile acid sequestrants grab bile in the lumen on purpose to break the loop and nudge cholesterol numbers. Bile is not stored in the gallbladder and forgotten. Your liver and ileum run a joint venture. This is where it gets interesting. Lose too much ileum and that enterohepatic loop stumbles. Clinicians watch cholesterol and fat-soluble vitamin traffic when reclaim fails. Digestion runs on loops, not just lines, and the ileum's bile reclaim is one of the gut's busiest round trips. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Which side job surprised you the most? See you